Yeah, so this is the next Attack on Titan kind of journal type thing, I guess. Or like, my experience with Attack on Titan. So this video is going to be kind of, my thoughts on season two. Um, yeah. So that, we got a lot there. We learned some stuff, but we also are like, okay, so there's something else going on. And I have a Deadpool shirt on today because the way that it looks like the different Titan shifters, the way that they regenerate, kind of reminds me of the way like Deadpool regenerates in the two movies that they've done so far, where it's like it's there, it's like you get like the limb or whatever sliced off, and then it will like slowly heal. Although, admittedly, the Titan healing does seem to be a bit faster. Um, we see Aaron and Amir regenerate limbs during this. Both of Aaron's hands, wrists and everything down. And hands and everything has to regenerate, and one of Amir's hands and one of her legs and part of her side has to regenerate, and so we see a lot of that. We kind of see that a little bit with Reiner as well because he does get attacked by Titan in this, in his human form. Um, so of course the season starts where the previous season left off. They defeated Annie. They've got her trapped. She's in kind of this crystal type cocoon that they can't get through. They've hit it with their blades and they can't get through that. And they also find out that there are titans in all of the walls that surround them, in Wall Rose and Wall Maria and Wall Sheena. And they start finding out that okay, there's some connection here between this and that, like that Church of the Walls or whatever it is, um, Cult of the Walls. Uh, hey, whatever. That's what they want to believe in. Technically, you shouldn't be messing with the walls, in regards to that, because they find out that oh no, there's kind of a colossus-sized titans in these walls, um, and that the walls are made of the same type of chrysalis cocoon stuff that's surrounding Annie. And we have a lot with, Haji is doing a lot of her research on this. We have Levi trying to find out what's, trying to get the priest, what is it, Pastor Nick, I think was his name, trying to get information out of him. Haji like has him hanging over the side of, the wall, and he's, like, go ahead, drop me. I'm like, you have issues, dude. Um, but we learned through a lot of that, and they kind of make him tell them information, or kind of tell get him to tell them where they can find more information, and he points them toward Krista, who at this point is just called Krista. We don't know that she's Historia yet. She's Krista Lenz at this point, and you know they Haji tells, I think I'm saying her name right, Hodge or Haji, one of the two, tells Aaron and Mikasa and the others that, oh well, we have this information about where, some more information about like these titans in the walls, or where we can find some more information is with a girl called Krista Lenz. And they're like, we know Krista, she was the smallest one in our class, she's within the top 10, and everything else. Like, she knows stuff. Okay. They seem a little befuddled by this. And of course, we find out that the walls, that there appears to be a break in Wall, well, not Wall, was it Wall Rose and then Wall Maria? Well, there's a break in one of the walls, and they can't figure out where the break is because they keep seeing all these new Titans that are coming in and that are attacking them, because the newest recruits, or the newest members of the Scout Division, are all at the base, and there's titans that come to attack the base, and they all have to flee, with being led by their different some of the other leaders. And so trying to, Hodge and Levi and Ervin already suspect that there has to be some other spies in our group. We already had Annie, and there has to be some other spies, and so they're trying to weed out, get past who like all these different spies might be, and they've narrowed it down to a couple. Admittedly, some of them are not necessarily wrong, in regards to suspicious activity, because we learn more about Krista and Amir, of course, during this season, and of course Reiner and Bertolt. We learn more about them, and that no, they're Reiner and Bertolt are the Colossus and the Armor Titan, and Amir is the Jaw Titan, but they haven't been introduced to the Jaw Titan yet. We get some flashbacks between Amir and Krista. And we find out that, Krista seems to have a martyr complex. She wants to die in a way that will make her, that will make her seem beloved when she died. Beloved in people's memories, because she never, we learn more later on in her story. I'm assuming this is more in like season 3 and maybe a bit into season 4, but mostly in season 3, which I have not watched yet, but I have an idea of like Historia's backstory from some of the other reading I've done. And I'll probably go back and forth between Krista and Historia for a little bit in this episode, and then after that it'll be, no, she's Historia at this point in time. She just wants to be called Historia. And we find out that, she's had this martyr complex for a long time because she was never loved by her own mother, and she appears to have been abandoned by her father. She finds out that she is actually, or she was told at some point that she is actually the daughter of one of the noble houses. She is a bastard child, an illegitimate child, because her mother was her father's mistress. And she could have been raised in the family, but it got revealed that she was the mistress's daughter and not like his wife's daughter. So that kind of caused conflict there. And we learn more about Historia's backstory in season 3. And, I would say the other 2 characters, well, we learn a lot about some of the other characters because we learn a lot about Sasha's background with, like her father, and they come from this seems to be more of a hunting village. We learn about Sasha's backstory, and she goes back to kind of where her village is, and she has to save this girl, and she has to fight a Titan with a bow and arrow, which I just think automatically makes her even more awesome. I already liked Sasha. I told my mom Sasha's introduction to the story, and I'm like, well, there's this girl named Sasha Browse, and her introduction is her, when they're all being like inspected, when they're first brought in as recruits, her introduction is eating a potato. And, in the middle of inspection, with like no reason as to why she's actually eating this potato, when obviously she's supposed to be in line for inspection, and she's eating the potato in line. And the commander has no idea what she's doing, and he's even trying to figure out in his head, but why is she eating it here? She's like, well, it was sitting on the table, it was begging to be eaten, and everything. And I love Sasha. I think she's so funny. And yes, I'm aware, unfortunately, I think it's after the time skip that she dies, so I don't know exactly where that falls for like I don't think that's season 3. That might be more like a season 4, so this final season that they're doing, I think. 4 or 5 range. I don't remember exactly how many seasons there are. I think there's 4, and then there's like a recap movie between 3 and 4, because I think there was like a time frame between like when season 3 ended and then when like season 4 came out, there was like a bit of a time lapse, so they wanted to get refresher. But I'll be going over that, of course, when I get to that point. But Sasha went back to her village, and she helped this girl, and she fought a Titan with a bow and arrow, as I said, and then she kind of gets to reconnect with her father. And then we find out a little bit more about Connie's family. We find out that Connie comes from this small village, and that it appears to be where the Titans first attacked, but there's no blood everywhere, and there's no humans. There's one Titan that's like stuck on top of a house, that it's like its legs and arms are too small for it to move, and it can't leave, but it can't attack them either because its arms are too small. And it looks like it's kind of like trapped kind of in the house. And it happens to be Connie's house that the Titan is laying on. And Connie's upset because it's like, he thinks that, of course, his mother and his father and his siblings are dead. And he's like, well, okay, but the other scouts that are there, that are the more experienced ones, are like, well, there's no blood everywhere. There's no blood anywhere, and we don't see any carnage, so maybe they escaped. But then the others are like, but the horses are still here, and why would the Titans try to break into the houses if there's no one here? The Titans don't care about horses, so the horses are fine. Um, I guess it lets the riders refresh their horses that they've been kind of, running to exhaustion. But later on, some of the other scouts, Hodge sends some of the other scouts back to investigate this village a little bit more, and they find this picture of Connie's parents, and they compare it to the Titan, and it looks like Connie's mom. And of course, we find out through the course of the season, through season 2, that, oh, the Titans used to be people. That every single one of those Titans that you've been killing for the past 100 years, scouts upon scouts upon scouts have been killing for the past 100 years, are actually people. And and like later on, we have where Connie and where Hodge explain this to Levi and Ervin, and of course Ervin, loses an arm during this season trying to rescue Aaron and everything. I'm kind of jumping all over the place with this, but that's that's the way my brain works with this, when you jump all over the place to a degree with these things. But it's they all kind of do this realization of, okay, we've been killing people all this time, not just Titans, but these Titans were people at one point, and that this Titan is Connie's mom. And now it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure one of the thoughts running through Connie's mind is, can we find a way to turn my mom back? So it looks like both of his father and his siblings are dead. We learn this later. And I do know that because, I've read the final chapter, and I'm aware of the fact that, like, Connie was told by Aaron and his, like, memories or whatever that, no, your mom's been turned back into a human, so she's fine. And so it's like that part kind of gets resolved a lot later on in the end. And we know that, like, the Titan doesn't get killed because they kind of keep it for, like, research purposes. I hope she's not going to torture this Titan the way, I hope Hodge doesn't torture Connie's mom's Titan the way that she tortured Sonny and Bean, the other Titans that they had captured. I hope they don't torture her this way. But I don't think Hodge would want to do that now that they're aware of the fact that these Titans used to be people. That doesn't seem, because Hodge was a bit, flabbergasted by this too. So I don't think she's going to quite do that. But, we get a little bit more about Hodge in this story as well, or in this season as well. We learn a little bit more about things from her point of view. But back to Amir and Krista. We get a lot of these flashbacks. We get flashbacks from, like, when they were training and, like, they were up on this snowy mountain, so they're learning how to deal with, cold and, blizzard conditions and different types of survival training, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be a scout, you don't always know which way you're going to be going in regards to what type of a scenario you're going to end up in. And I don't remember if they ever explain whether or not the Titans can survive in the cold. Like, I don't know if the Titans can survive, like, in the winter conditions, if there's, like, we know that they're kind of solar powered, and that ones that are made by Zeke, which of course we see Zeke in his Beast Titan form, and then a little bit in his human form at the end of this season, but we see him in the Beast Titan form throughout the season. And he, he's the one that turned all these people, the people in Connie's village and these other villages, into Titans, and then set them loose to cause so much damage and trouble, and to hurt the Eldians, and to cause more problems because Zeke is an asshole. And so we get a lot of that, but we also, I don't remember if they ever say if Titans can, like, survive in the cold, or if, like, the cold slows them down. Maybe, I don't know. Because it's colder because there's less sunlight, but I'm not sure exactly how that works. I don't remember if that is a thing, or it's like, oh no, the Titans can still survive and be fine in the cold. Let me know in the comments, because I don't know. But they're doing training there, and one of their classmates had gotten injured or was not doing so well, and Krista's, like, dragging him. And Amir is like, well, you're just going to be a martyr. You're just acting like a martyr. You want to be a martyr on this mission so that way you go down, like, being beloved by, the rest of the class or whatever, because you died trying to save your companion. And of course, Um, Amir keeps, we find out more about Amir's backstory. Of course, we find out about, that she had been a Titan at one point, and that she'd been roaming around as a Titan for about 60 years. We find out that before that, she had lived outside the walls, way outside the walls. That she had been a little beggar child, and that she had gotten taken into this cult, and the cult leader basically proclaimed to the others that, oh, she is a descendant of the king, and the previous king, the Fritz line, um, that had abandoned the Eldians, to go live on Paradise and everything. We find out this more in the other backstories a lot later on. We learn about this in like season 3 and into season 4 and everything. We learn about this stuff, but it's like he says that she's like the blood of the king, and he takes, and she lives in this cult for a long time. She has food. She's no longer cold and starving and homeless. She has a warm place to sleep. She has people that, she gets to make happy. We don't 100% know everything about what was going on in that life, but I would assume that, the guy at least probably wanted to keep Amir happy, to keep her this way and everything, and keep her from leaving, since she's kind of what his cult was built on. And these, she's, her name is Amir after, Amir Fritz, who was the original Titan. We learn this a lot later on as well, but we kind of learn that there's a connection there. And then, of course, they're found out by we learn these later on, are the Marleyan uh, police or whatever that show up, and they raid the cult, and the cult leader, blames Amir that, oh no, she's the one that tricked me and everything. And, and then they all get, paraded through the streets, and they get, stoned and everything before they get taken to Paradise, where they are all subsequently injected with the Titan serum, and then they all turn into Titans, and Amir turns into a Titan, and she roams around, between this wall way on the end of the island and the inside of the island up to Wall Rose for 60 years. And she's in this horrible, she describes it as like a nightmare, this never-ending nightmare, because, it's like we've seen other people, it's like when Aaron shifted in and out of his Titan form, when he first shifted, he couldn't really control it. And then, later on, he got a little bit better at it, to the point where it's like, okay, no, he can focus better now. He knows what he's doing, and he can obviously control her female Titan form very, very well. And, Reiner can control his armored Titan, and, Berthold can control his, Colossal Titan, quite well. And, because they've had a lot more training than Aaron has, but Aaron gets better at this. And, he fought Berthold at one point. He fought Reiner at one point in this season. Well, he fought Reiner like two times or so in this season. And of course, the other, he gets kidnapped by Berthold and Reiner, and Amir gets kidnapped too, because we learn about Reiner and Berthold and Annie that they had a companion who had been eaten by Amir. And this companion, I think they called him Marcel in the flashback, and I know that later on we find out that his name is Marcel, and he had been the original inheritor for their group of the Jaw Titan. And, Amir ate him in her Titan form, and then she gets reverted back to her human form because she, ate a Titan shifter, so she can change back into a human. And I don't remember if we're ever told if she can remember everything from when she was a Titan. She says she doesn't remember who she ate exactly, but it freed her from her curse of having to stay a Titan forever, or until someone killed her, I guess, until like she got too close to the walls or whatever. It was a good thing that Amir had never run into one of the scout groups before, or else she may have been killed. But we don't know how many other people she killed as a Titan. She may have not have interacted with anybody else as a Titan for a long time, except for other Titans. But she wandered around and everything, but she ate Marcel. Now she can shift back and forth, and she learns, oh well, I can shift back and forth between this and that. But she ends up in the this like starry field type area that we learn later on. This is the paths or whatever that kind of connect all the different Titan shifters. But she wakes up there, and she's free from being this beast, this monster Titan that she can't control. And she, then she becomes a pickpocket and a robber and everything, makes her way into the walls, in the group that, made their way in after Wall Rose fell and all that chaos, she made her way inside and she became a pickpocket and everything, a beggar like she had been before. And she overhears this information about a girl who is a descendant of a noble family, that the noble family sent her into the corps, into the scout recruit corps, hoping that she would die, either in training or be killed by a Titan if she joined the scouts. And Amir then, you know, something about that makes Amir go, I can't let that happen. And she goes and she joins the recruits and she finds Krista, of course. And the two of them become best friends. And, you know, we get the funny moments between the two of them where it's like, you know, them bonding. And then, of course, we have the moments on the mountain during the snowstorm when, you know, Amir is like, you know, chastising Krista or trying to. She's like reverse psychologing. I think she's trying to do reverse psychology on Krista, where she's like, no, you know, she's like trying to say, you're just going to be a martyr. That's all you ever want to be. You just want to be remembered for, you know, being good instead of being you, type of a thing. And she, you know, she chastises her for that and everything. And eventually, Amir helps make sure that Krista and the other guy who had been hurt, I think his name was Daz. I don't remember exactly what his name was, but he's, you know, she makes sure that he gets back to where he's safe. He gets to, you know, the rendezvous point where there's, you know, shelter and everything. And so they're okay. But, you know, Amir and Krista still have this long friendship for the whole time that they're in training. And they, you know, they bond more and everything. And then later on, you know, in the season 2, you know, as it plays out, you know, Reiner and Bertolt, you know, kidnap Aaron and Amir, and we have it where, you know, they're all talking and everything, and you know, we find out that Reiner kind of has a split personality problem because he has the part of him that is starting to care for the Eldians, the people that are behind the walls and the scouts and everything, and he wants to destroy the Titans and he wants to protect these people because they're his friends. But he also has these moments where he's like, well, if we bring both of these two back, we're going to definitely get accommodation. Do you think we'll get raised up to captain? Is that going to be a good idea? Is this going to be a good thing that happens? Type of thing. You know, it was like he goes back and forth between the two of them. And it's like, because he has like the split personality problem. And Amir points this out. And Bertolt, you know, has noticed this. And that's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, Reiner has some issues. We learn about those quite a bit later on, between season 2 and season 3 and season 4, and you know, later on in the manga, of course, we learn about his backstory, which I'll go over a little bit more, of course, once I've actually seen it play out in the story. In the anime, I'll go over his backstory a little bit more, but it is quite sad. I would assume that Bertolt kind of has a little bit of the same backstory because it's drummed into them that the Eldians are bad, that the people who turn into Titans are bad, and that they need to be punished for what their ancestors had done to everybody else. And so, you know, Bertolt kind of probably has a little bit of that same mentality, but he's not as, he doesn't have the split personality problem that Reiner has. And, you know, their plan is to go and meet up with the Beast Titan because they know who the Beast Titan is, or they at least know that the Beast Titan is one of their allies. And, you know, they get to the Beast Titan and the Beast Titan will help them, you know, get back to, well, Marley and Liberio and everything, back home, back to their families. But, you know, at this point in time, if you're just watching the series and you haven't read the manga or whatever, I know that at this point in time, it hasn't been revealed that no, there is an outside world. You just kind of think that, okay, maybe there's like a settlement somewhere in the walls that is people who know that they can turn back and forth into Titans, and that like maybe they have like some type of something that protects them from the Titans. You know, we're not 100% sure at that point in time. I don't know exactly what the theories were around that. I may go back and look. We'll see. But we have those problems going on, and you know, the Beast Titans wandering around, and you know, Amir and Aaron were kidnapped by, you know, Bertolt and Reiner, and then, you know, Erwin and Mikasa and Armin and all the others, and Connie and Sasha and Historia, well, Krista still at this point in time, are trying to go and find them. And it's, of course, revealed that Amir is a Titan because a little bit earlier in the season, they had been hiding out in this abandoned castle, and it became, it got attacked by Titans at night because these Titans were once made by Zeke, and the Titans appear at night and they start, attacking this castle. And in the higher ranks in the scouts had unfortunately all been killed by the Titans. I kind of liked some of them; they seemed kind of interesting. But of course, this is Attack on Titan, and it's probably not a wise decision to get too emotionally attached to anyone whose names are not Mikasa, Eren, or Armin, or I guess like Historia, or if you know the end of it, Zeke, because like Zeke survives, or not Zeke, Levi, because Levi survives and everything. But it's probably not the best idea to get a bit too emotionally attached to some of these characters, because Isayama could have decided at any point in time, you're gonna die this week, and you. Swear to God, that's kind of what it seems like from just watching this. It's like, oh, nope, they're dead. Oh, nope, 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 they're dead. Oh, that one's dead. Oh, nope, you're dead. Oh, nope, that one's dead now. But Ymir ends up having to change into a Titan in order to protect them because none of the others have their gear. Have the ODM gear that they use to jump around, which looks like fun, but I don't think that would be something that I particularly want to do. But we have them all, Ymir has to change into her Titan form in order to protect, Historia and Connie and Bertolt and Reiner. She does not know at this point in time specifically that Bertolt and Reiner can change into the Titans, but she has a suspicion that there's something that they're hiding. And Reiner kind of thinks that there's something that Ymir is hiding as well. And, she changes into her Jaw Titan because she, apparently the best way that they've determined to shapeshift into your Titan form is to cause damage to yourself. And I'm assuming like cause damage and being focused on what you want to do, because we learn Eren kind of has to go through some of this back when he first became, first awakened his Attack Titan powers. He has to deal a little bit with that. I would assume that, because, later on, if you're watching this and you have not actually read the manga and you're not 100% caught up on the manga or the anime, I am probably not the best source for this because my brain is scattershot to a degree when it comes to Attack on Titan because I haven't seen everything or read everything yet, and I'm just kind of working my way through the anime. But I know some stuff that happens because of the manga and because of videos I've watched. So I am not the proper source for this. If you want more information, go and actually watch the anime or read the manga because you'll get a lot more of the details than what I can give you. But I would assume that, like in the Warrior program that, Bertolt and Reiner and Annie and Marcel and the other ones later on that we learn about in season 3 and season 4 that, and that Zeke was in, it was drummed into them, of course, that the Eldians are bad, the people that can turn into the Titans are bad, and that this is a way to redeem you and your family is by helping us. And because only the Eldians can change into Titans. And, so we have those moments, but it's like they probably had to, it's kind of been shown that, the Marleyans knew a fair amount about how the Eldians could transform, and they knew, if we inject them with this, they'll turn into the Titans. But they're not, they're not the Jaw Titan or the Armor Titan or the Colossus Titan that we have on our side. And if we train these kids to be our, quote unquote weapons, warriors, then they will do as we say. We keep them loyal to us. We kind of have their families in better living, but they're also kind of hostages, in my opinion, from probably where that would come from. But so we have that, but it's they know that it's like causing damage to yourself and like focusing on transforming is what will help you transform, which I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. I mean, it kind of activates the healing, the regeneration factor from it, and then you're also able to change, shapeshift into your Titan form. Although because Annie has to do the same thing when she transforms, she has to like cut herself, and then Ymir does the same thing when she changes into her Jaw Titan form, the first time that we see in the series. And she, she fights all these Titans, and she like destroys the tower that they're on in the process, but she still protects Historia and Connie and the others. She keeps them safe so they don't die, of course, because they're her friends. Even though she's a little suspicious of Renner and Bertolt at this point in time, she still protects them. and then the other, the other scouts show up and they're able to, take care of these other Titans. And then they find out, oh, no, 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 Amir is a Titan, but she's on our side and she's like Eren, not like Annie, but she's like Eren. And then, of course, that's when, of course, it's revealed that Reiner and Bertolt, their backstories with Annie and everything don't add up the way that Hodge wanted them to. So they kind of figured out that, okay, these guys are the Titans, and we're going to need to do something about them. But, Reiner and Bertolt change, and Reiner and Eren fight, and then, Bertolt, kidnaps all of them and they run away. And so we get a lot of that. And then, of course, Mikasa wants to go after them and everything, and Armin and Erwin and Hodge. Well, Hodge is kind of injured to the point where she can't go after them, and Levi is not in tip-top shape, so he's not fighting in this case. But the others go after them, and like Historia's there, and Connie's there, and Sasha's there, and Jean and Jean are there, and like they're all going after them to find Amir and Eren and the others to bring them back to protect them. Possibly kill Reiner and Bertolt in the process, but their main objective is, of course, to save Amir and Eren. And Amir does a rather good, very helpful thing, because she kind of keeps Bertolt and Reiner talking for quite a while. That gives the others the ability to kind of find them. Now, I don't think Amir technically did this on purpose. She just wanted more information from Bertolt and Reiner to see if there was anything else there that she was unaware of, or anything else that she could glean from them without telling them too much about herself. She does admit she doesn't remember the person that she ate, and Bertolt even admits, I don't remember who I ate either to get this power. And then, of course, we have this more of a battle happens because the squad shows up, the scouts show up, led by Erwin, and this, of course, he gets attacked by Titan at one point, and he, loses an arm. But, of course, their main goal is to get Eren and Amir back. Mostly Eren, but they do try to get Amir back, and Amir tries helping them and everything, because she finishes her kind of regeneration first, probably because she'd been technically regenerating longer than Eren had. Because Eren still had like his hands were still regenerating, they weren't fully regenerated, and at some point he does try to help in the battle, and he's like trying to bite himself to get his power to activate, but his he only has like some of his fingers at this point in time, and it's not fully healed yet, so he can't transform, but Amir can. And Bertolt and Reiner had they still had Eren kind of tied up so he couldn't get away. And Amir's kind of choosing to go with them, but she tries to convince them that if they bring Krista with them, that she will go with them peacefully and everything, kind of under the guise, in her opinion, in the guise for Amir of, well, if we bring Krista along, she has, she's useful to you in these cases. They also had offered to, like, well, if we know that you like Krista, so if we bring her with us, you can be helpful with this. And Amir changes, and she runs back and tries to get Krista. She grabs Krista and like carries her back to where Reiner had changed into his armor titan, and he's running, and Bertolt and Eren are there, and Amir is trying to convince Krista. Now Historia at this point in time has revealed that she's trying to convince Historia that, no, you have to come with me. The world beyond the walls is not as bad as you think. It's, there's good parts, and, you'll be safe, and, you don't, I'll keep you safe and everything. And Krista's not buying this, because it's the same thing that Amir was trying to do with being, that Amir was trying to convince her not to do. It's, Amir had tried to convince her to be a martyr for like not to be a martyr for the whole time that they were training. And now Amir's trying to make herself a martyr in order to protect Krista. In order to protect Historia. And Historia is fighting, and she had killed one Titan at one point to try alongside Amir. They fought, and they make a very good team, and I kind of wish that team had been able to continue on. Of course, if you've actually seen the whole season or the series, you know that doesn't happen, unfortunately. But we of course see they're all fighting and everything, and at one point Mikasa shows up, and she just like chastises Krista of I already decided everybody of who I love, 6 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever it was. And that's basically Aaron and Armin are the two that she will do anything for. I don't care about anybody else. You can't pull at my heartstrings anymore. I've already decided everyone that I care about. There's no more room for that. And I will kill you and I will kill Amir if it means that I get Aaron back. And of course, Armin, kind of messes with Bertolt and like talking about, it's like, well, they're just going to torture Annie. I'm sure with all those healing abilities that she has, she's going to be so easy to be able to try to make talk, just like draw it out and everything. They're just going to have so much fun with whatever research and information they can get from her. And that messes with Bertolt. And then, of course, we have the others show up, Connie and the others show up. And Connie at this point is trying to figure out, like, okay, Connie's still trying to get over the shock of, okay, Bertolt and Reiner were the Colossus and the Armor Titan all along. Okay. Connie's still trying to get over that, and he's trying to, like, he's like, but we were going to be friends, and we were going to, like, survive to old age, and we were going to remember everything that happened, and, like, look back on that, and, sit on our front porches type of a thing. We were going to be, like, old drinking buddies when, when all of this is said and done, and when we're not part of the, scouts anymore, and everything. And, it's like, that kind of does get to Bertolt between the, the talking about Annie being, tortured, and talking, and, Connie talking about, what they had, planned on doing, and John is there as well. And I think Sasha's there during this battle as well. And like, the others are all fighting more Titans because there's more Titans trying to attack them, of course, during this whole battle. So there's, that time clock of the other Titans are getting closer. And, so there's a lot of that. And then they do end up getting Aaron away from Reiner and Bertolt. And, Amir and Historia, are kind of going to go with, are going to stay with the scouts and type of a thing. And, Aaron keeps trying to transform because he wants to help in the battle, and he at least would be able to help if he would be able to transform. And, he's biting his hand, trying to get himself to transform. And then we have, I think don't remember the name of the scout that had been there that tried to save Aaron's mother, but he is Hannes. Hannes was his name, and he had been trying to help Mikasa and Armin find Aaron, of course, because he still blames himself for not being able to protect Aaron's mother, for being able to save her, and he's there trying to help them save Aaron. And unfortunately, the Smiling Titan shows up. And no picture of Smiling Titan in this because I find it extremely disturbing and I don't want to look at it. It's just a very disturbing one. And we learn more about the Smiling Titan a lot later on. And oh God, that backstory is just so disturbing, even more disturbing, and makes it even worse. But like, Haj is trying, Hannes is trying to defeat the Smiling Titan, take it out and everything. And Aaron and Mikasa watch as, the Smiling Titan grabs him and eats him. And Aaron just like, he snaps, he breaks, and he's just like, you're just as useless as you used to be. You haven't grown at all. You're still this useless thing that can't even protect the people you care about. I can't even use this power to protect other people that I want to protect. How am I supposed to be able to even fight? And he breaks down, and Mikasa, and it's just this like moment in the series. It's in the last episode. It's just a moment where it's like all the other Titans attacks are still going on. Armin's trying to fight off a Titan to protect one of their own, and the others are fighting, and Amir is fighting off these other Titans with Krista's help, and it just kind of quiets down around Mikasa and Aaron. And I'm pretty sure that whenever the scene happened in the manga, and that when the scene was going on in the anime, everybody was like, kiss, 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 kiss. I don't have as extreme of an emotional investment in it yet, but maybe. I can see where that would come from. For like, kiss, kiss already, kiss. I was kind of doing that with like Amir and Krista at one point. I'm just, kiss already. Kiss. It'll make things better. Just kiss. It'll make things better or worse depending on your emotional involvement with these characters. But so Amir or not Amir, but it closes in around Mikasa and Eren, and Mikasa is like, no, you're not useless. And like she's trying to convince Eren that she's very close to him, but she's like trying to convince him, no, you're not useless. You're not weak. You make me keep going. You do all of this, and then Eren's just kind of like, that's kind of like probably one of those weird moments for Eren where he's like, okay, that was a little bit different than I was intending to have happen. And the Smiling Titan is getting ready to reach for the two of them to eat them, of course. And she already ate one. Might as well finish off the rest of the Jaegers while she has a chance. And Eren, this is where we got one of the moments of the coordinate, because we keep having Bertolt and Reiner keep talking about this coordinate and that Eren is the coordinate. And this is kind of one of those first moments where we see that power kind of activate. Because Eren, tries to punch. He's still in his human form. He didn't change, but he tries to punch the palm of the Smiling Titan. And the second that he makes contact with it, there's like this ripple that happens between, Bertolt feels it, and Reiner feels it, and Amir feels it, and all the other Titans feel it. And he punched, we find out later on, of course, that the Smiling Titan is Dina Fritz, and that she has royal blood, and that, when the Coordinate, or when the Founding Titan, comes in contact with royal blood, and is usually wielded by someone of royal descent, he came in contact with her, and he activates that power that then makes all the other Titans in the area that are not the shifters attack the Smiling Titan, and they start ripping her to shreds because she's the one that killed Eren's mother. He wants, he like shifts something, and it makes all the Titans attack her instead, because the Titan, created Titans, not the shifters, but the other Titans have to kind of obey. Well, they have to obey the Coordinate Titan or the Founding Titan, but then they also have to obey those of like royal blood, because we see this earlier on in the season when Zeke, or the Beast Titan, tries to control another Titan. When he's trying to interrogate, when the Beast Titan is trying to interrogate one of the scouts that is like the second below Levi in the scouts or something like that. All the Titans start attacking the Smiling Titan, and then they also end up kind of attacking Bertolt and Reiner too. And all the scouts and everything, Erwin tells everybody to retreat, and they're all leaving and everything. And Amir is leaving with them to go with Historia. She's still in her Titan form, her Jaw Titan form, or her I think she's also referred to as like the Dancing Titan, because she can like kind of move through the trees very easily. She's very agile in that way, but she's still in that form, and she looks back and she sees that the other Titans are attacking. I said Titan and attack a lot in this video, but it is an Attack on Titan video, so that's kind of going to happen anyway. But she looks back and she sees Reiner and Bertolt are being attacked by the other Titans, the regular Titans, and she can't, they're the ones that kind of brought her freedom in regards to, she ate their friend, and that gave her the ability to change back into a human, but she can't just let them die. Admittedly, if they did die, then whichever Titan actually ate them would then gain the ability to turn back into a human. But, we know that Reiner survives all the way to the end of this story, and that later on we know that sometime in the Return to Shiganshina arc, or just before the end of the time, or just before the time skip, we know that Armin ends up getting the power of the Colossus Titan. I know that happens. I have not seen exactly how that happens beyond the whole thing of, he has to eat Bertolt at some point. And, like Reiner, I know Armin at some point does get turned into a regular Titan, and then he ends up eating Bertolt, is my understanding of what happens. But, Amir can't bear to watch them die, and she stops, and Historia stops on her horse, and Amir reaches out with her Titan hand, and she like kind of, cups Historia, and like kind of like a goodbye type of a thing. And then she turns and she runs back to, fight off the Titans that are attacking Bertolt and Reiner, and she fights them off. And between the three of them, we find out that they are able to escape from these Titans, and that that she is now kind of their prisoner. She explains to them, they got to a safe place. I think they ended up back on like one of the other walls, because we find out that there is no actual break in the wall. It's just Zeke was able to get over the wall in his Beast Titan form. He can also throw things really, really far. And he turned the people in this village, in Connie's village, into Titans to cause more mayhem. So, that's Amir is now kind of captured by Reiner and Bertolt, and I don't think she ever sees Historia again. From what I remember, she doesn't ever get the chance to see Historia again. I know that she later on writes Historia a letter, because I know that there is that she tries to have that Reiner is supposed to give to Historia, and I think he does give Historia this letter, and we know that later on there is someone else gets a hold of the Jaw Titan power, because Amir's the sacrifice for that. She gets eaten by the person, and blah 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 blah. But Krista, the others all make it back to the city and everything, and now they're all healing and everything. And this is when Connie and Hodge explain that no, Titans used to be people, and that's when we have Erwin and Levi are there, and they're all like, so all this time we've been killing people that were Titans, the way that Aaron can shift, only they couldn't control it, type of a thing. And that's where that season ends, and that's as far as I'm aware of in this. And I'm going to be starting on season 3 probably tomorrow, and I'll be working my way through that. And then I know that season 3 has like 2 parts, so I might do see where part 1 ends for season 3, and then I might do a video about that, and then I might do season 3 part 2, a different video. We'll see. It depends on how long of sets those are. I need to see where those episodes, how many episodes that is. But I'll at least have at least one video for season 3, and then we'll go from there. Full disclosure for the thumbnail, I had debated about trying to get a picture of me holding a potato, but I didn't want to buy a potato just to use it in the video, and then have Sasha next to me eating a potato in the thumbnail. I just didn't want to buy a potato just for that. I probably would have found a reason to cook the potato, but it just didn't quite seem relevant as much as I wanted it to. And I also kind of figured that Amir is kind of the more that we learn a lot more about in this season. So she's on the thumbnail with Sasha. We learn about their backstories. Historia is gonna be probably the thumbnail, one of the thumbnails for the season 3 part 1 or season 3 for the whole thing type thing. We'll see what goes with that. So that's what I have for this video. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Do you always want to live hiding behind the mask you put up for the sake of others? You're you, and there's nothing wrong with that.